Presenting the Republican side of the argument now is Graham Smith, who is Republic's Chief Executive Officer and worked full-time for the organisation since 2005. Graham's background is in party political campaigning, and he was honest enough to say that that was from the centre-left, but he's also worked in the corporate sector. Graham, thank you.
I feel I owe Monica's friends here an apology for doing too good a job of promoting this event to our membership. They seem to be dominating the audience, but I do certainly agree with the comments that we do need to allow a free and fair debate this evening, and I hope we have a very interesting debate. There was one word that Jack said that I agree with, which is medieval. I think it was in your description of the Crown Estates. Other than that, I don't think there was anything that I could relate to at all. Certainly, the Home Parliament 2 years ago, the Queen was quite at the pains to say that she wasn't going to get involved. They made it quite clear that that wasn't going to happen, so she's not even prepared to do the job that she's expected to do as our head of state. I would slightly disagree also with Joe that it's a contest between rational and emotional. I mean, we're getting hundreds of people coming down to protest at the pageant on Sunday. You don't protest because of rational arguments, you protest because of emotional commitments to a cause that you believe in. And thousands of people are supporting us, thousands more people are supporting us now than ever before for strong emotional reasons, but also they are supported by very strong rational arguments. I'm going to go through some of those key arguments, and also say that the choice is not between an impartial monarch and a political head of state. It's between a monarch, a head of state who is hereditary, may or may not be impartial, we have no idea because everything she does is in secret, and she is entirely unaccountable to anybody. And it is a choice between that and a head of state who is constitutional, not political like in the US, but constitutional like in Ireland, who was elected, and who was quite capable, regardless of their history as a politician or as any other, from any other walk of life, is quite capable of then serving in a non-partisan, impartial way. And in fact, our House of Commons is chaired by the Speaker, an elected MP, elected under a party platform, under a party banner, who is then expected and does, by and large, perform those duties in an impartial manner. So if the House of Commons and Speaker can do that, there's no reason why the head of state can't do it too. Now there's three good reasons which really cover all the bases here as to why the monarchy is a problem and why a republic is the solution. Number one, in principle, we are supposed to be a democratic society, and democracy must be founded on the idea that we are equal citizens with equal political rights. Now, we cannot accept that, and democracy is simply nothing more than the best of a bad choice. It has to be a principle to stand that we are a democratic society, and that can only make sense philosophically and politically if we accept the fact that we are all equal as citizens. Now, in principle, the monarchy clearly stands absolutely square against that principle. It says that we are not equal because there are some people who are born into families, into a family which is by birth put into a position of privilege and public office. This isn't just about private inheritance, it's about the inheritance of public office, office that belongs to you, the people. And you have every right, regardless of any other arguments that are made this evening, to have that office held to account and for you to have a say in who occupies that job. It's also a matter of practice. The institution itself is quite frankly not fit for purpose. This is an institution, as I said, it's secretive, it's manipulative, it manipulates the media, it manipulates the politicians, it lobbies in secret for its own agenda, it lobbies in secret for its own costs, it wastes public money left, right and centre. They even then claim, Prince Charles flies to Scotland and back for a private weekend, claims on the taxpayers' expenses. When people ask him why, he uses the absolutely outrageous excuse that he is always on duty. So when he goes on holiday, apparently that's on duty. I mean, these people have absolutely no shame whatsoever. So, in practice, it is an institution which is quite frankly deserves to be swept aside. And then in political terms, it is a fundamental part of our constitution. The Crown itself is the sovereign instrument in our constitution, and through Parliament and through the Crown prerogatives, our government has way too much power which is simply unaccountable. If a decision is made by the Crown, it cannot be challenged through the courts. The only people that can challenge it are Parliament, and if Parliament is in the hands of the government, which it usually is, then there is almost no recourse against that power. And of course there are some powers which remain in the hands of the monarch. We have no idea to what extent those powers are being used because they are, by and large, kept secret. But we do know now that the Queen and Prince Charles have to be asked for their consent before any legislation is passed or even put to Parliament which affects their private interests. I want to stress that they're private interests, so they have to be asked before legislation is put to Parliament. This came out not so long ago, and the Prime Minister, the government, refused, they confirmed that it was true, they refused to say how many times, to what extent, and when, on what issues that effective veto was used. We have no idea whether it was used, because of course it wouldn't be done in public, it would be done very quietly, and it wouldn't of course veto the whole legislation, but of course they would be bound to say, well no, that is not good for me, so can you just tweak it there, change it here, and then go away and publish it for others to see. So these people do have direct access to power, but that is not the key issue. The key issue is unaccountable power exercised by politicians. So this is nice, naive and romantic idea that our Parliament is the mother of parliaments and that our Parliament ought to be sovereign. This is a democracy. We're supposed to be equal citizens. The people should be sovereign. Parliament should be our servants or our masters. Whereas in a democracy, we the people are supposed to be delegating power to the politicians, and that power must be limited by a constitution that says very clearly that we are sovereign, not the politicians, not Parliament, and certainly not the Crown. So, in every way you put it, principle, in practice, in political terms, constitutional terms, this is an institution that simply has no place in a democratic society. And whatever other arguments come forward, it is always, in principle, objectionable to place people above everyone else by birth in our political system in a country that claims to be a democracy. And we really ought to take that seriously. It's not just an idea that is just something, a convenience or a best choice for a bad lot. It is actually something very profound which we ought to be cherishing, very proud of, and very much committed to. And indeed, we do claim that we go to war and take part in military action in order to defend this principle. We are going to do that, and I think we can at least defend it at home by enshrining it in our Constitution. I would also say that this is something which can be done and can be won. And some people recently have been saying, well, we shouldn't do this because it's not popular. We shouldn't do this because the people like the Queen. And again, I would correct some of the comments before. It wasn't 69% saying they love the Queen, as some people said to me in interviews. It was 69% of the people saying, when they were asked, would you like to keep the status quo or change? They were saying, well, okay, we'll keep the status quo. That's quite different to saying they love the Queen. The fact that there was widespread hostility to the idea that we ought to pay for a new boat for the Queen, widespread hostility to the idea that we should change the tower that houses Big Ben, change its name to Elizabeth Tower. In fact, there's widespread hostility when any news comes out in terms of political interference or in terms of financial waste. The public attitude is a lot more ambivalent about them than the monarchists will have us believe. Now, I'm not suggesting for a minute that all Republicans do have a job on to make the case. Quite frankly, previous generations of Republicans have failed us in not making that case strong enough. That's changing. And this will happen for many reasons, because history is on our side. There are many, many fewer monarchies now than there were before. The Spanish monarchy and the Swedish monarchy on the ropes. Australia and even Canada are very likely to go down this road. Jamaica is already well on that road as we speak. And of course, a lot of this attachment to the monarchy is bound up with the current Queen. Most people can't remember anything different. And they see her as a harmless old lady living in a big house. We can point out that actually it's a lot more serious than that. And I think as many people start to realise that it's not going to be a harmless old lady, it's going to be King Charles, attitudes will start to change. I think one of the important things also that we're doing in this Jubilee is that we need to challenge the taboo around the Queen. It is quite outrageous that some of our press believe it's a taboo to criticise and to scrutinise and to hold to account our head of state. It's an absolute disgrace and a shame on them for believing that. The Queen is just an ordinary lady like everybody else. Obviously everyone else is an ordinary lady, but everyone else is ordinary. And she is there to do her job. And yet we treat her, we patronise the public, and we treat her as if she is some kind of semi-deity. She isn't. And the Jubilee is not an achievement. It is a simple matter of mathematics. If you're given a job for life at 25, 60 years later you're still alive, guess what? You've had the job for 60 years. It's not difficult to do when there's no accountability, no elections, no challenge, no scrutiny. So, as I said, probably don't have to go much further because I think you're going to vote for us anyway, but let's have a really interesting debate.